All right, here we go. VGrow update. It's been a little while since I updated you guys on the plant that I have growing in the VGrow box. I think last time you saw it, it was veg stage before flipping to flower. And as you can see, it's grown quite a bit since then. We have actually reached the point where it's above where it needs to be. It's in the yellow overgrown area. There's a marking in the back corner where it says it's overgrown. So it is a little bit overgrown. It's my first time ever growing in this VGrow box. So mistakes were made, but it's okay. We're on day 37 of flowering, and this is Magic Candy Mountain OG by Welcome to the Grow Tent. It is a cross of Purple Frost Giant and Chill It OG. I actually sat down with GT on one of my podcast episodes, actually interviewed him twice for my podcast, and this is what he had to say about this Magic Candy Mountain OG. Magic Candy Mountain OG. Talk to us all about that.
Every aspect about the Chill Out OG, I was a fan of already. Like that earthiness and like the lemoniness that I got from the first time. That's like right up my alley. And then I was like, well, what if I take this and I had a super great pheno of the Purple Frost Giant that I ended up with that I keep mothers of. That's like my now soulmate strain that I constantly am walking around with just because how well it works for me. It literally smells like grape vest soda, like that smell you get when you first open like a can, not a bottle, but an actual can of like grape soda, like that smell from that fizz that initially comes out of there, it smells exactly like that. And I was like, okay, I can never get rid of this. I was like, how cool would this be to cross this with Mr. Growitz? I was like, I think it would be amazing. And then like I got the name from an old internet video that I used to watch, and I thought it worked well with it. Once I had the name kind of figured out for it, and then I did the artwork for it because I like to do artwork for everything. And it was just, it seemed like a no-brainer to mix the two with how much I liked both.
Now, in regards to lighting, one of the things that is a little bit of a downside is that since the plants were overgrown, one thing I noticed when I checked the PPFD levels in the middle, it was at close to 2,000 PPFD in the dead center there. And so I had to lower the light level down. We lowered it down to 80%. That's fine. That's actually brings it to about 1,100 PPFD, still higher than I usually like. Usually I like between 600 and 900 PPFD in the flowering stage, but the plant seems to be surviving. It's not stressed out to the point where it's showing nanners. Usually if there's high light stress that happens, some, we'll say unstable plants will show intersex traits. So they'll show what's called nanners, nickname. It's a stamen. It's basically male pollen sacs that come out and start releasing pollen right away. I'm not seeing any of that here, which I'm thankful to see. But what I am seeing due to lighting is light bleaching. And this is something that I haven't seen in quite a long time. And one thing I learned is the root cause of light bleaching. So first off, what is light bleaching? Light bleaching is when there is so much light on the top of the buds that it actually turns into white buds. So the tips of 3 of these colas here and towards the middle are white. Now, there was some saying in the past that this is a reduction in potency when this happens. Since then, I believe that has been debunked. There's been studies showing that the potency on that part of the plant is just as good as the other part of the plant. But I haven't seen light bleaching in such a long time. Now, when I went to Utah State University for Dr. Bruce Bugby's course, it's the cannabis cultivation course. I got my cannabis cultivation certificate through that course. One of the things I learned through there is that the light bleaching is typically due to too much red light. Now, what does it mean by that? Well, one of the things with the VGrow box, you can actually change the spectrum. So there's a seedling spectrum, a veg spectrum, and then a flower spectrum. I switched over to the flower spectrum. It's more red light versus blue light. And I think being so close to the light, being overgrown, it's just receiving too much light in that area. It's causing that light bleaching to happen, but that's okay. I'm just really happy that the plant isn't stressed out so much that it's actually showing the intersex traits like I just spoke about. So yeah, I had to dial it down to 80% lighting. We'll just run with it for the rest of the grow. In regards to the environment, now this is something else that's been a little tricky. I've talked about this in past videos where we talked about the VGrow box. It's been around 83 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit on the inside for the most part. Now, feedback I've given to Vivosun before is adding in a compressor, some sort of cooling to be added into this unit so it doesn't heat up so much, because what it's doing is it's grabbing air passively into the system as needed. So whatever air is in the room that this grow box is in, it's grabbing that air, and then it's of course exhausting air out into the same room. So this room is actually just heating up over time. Eventually I'd like to see them throw a compressor in there so we can have some cooling in there, but the plant is surviving under those higher temps than normal. As far as the humidity, I've got a little humidifier in here. This is a USB humidifier that actually plugs in right to the top of the grow box there. The humidity has been between 60 and 70% roughly. Now I've been lowering it since we began into flowering. I really like it to be no more than about 60 to 65%. If there was stagnant air in here or a super thick canopy, I could see powdery mildew potentially due to high humidity and stagnant air, or even worse, bud rot, so where the inside of the buds actually start to rot. Botrytis cinerea is what it's called. It's a fungus that actually gets within the buds and starts to brown the inside of the buds. And unfortunately at that point, you gotta throw away those colas, whatever colas are impacted. So hoping that that doesn't happen this time around. I don't think I will, but fingers crossed. I don't wanna say things and all of a sudden it happens, right? That tends how things work out. In regards to the nutrition that the plant is getting, you can see it right up here. I've got, I'm using the Vivosun nutrients that came with this grow box. They came with these smaller bottles here. Actually ran out. There's a little bit left on this one, but part B is completely done. I let them know. They had mentioned that usually if it's a longer veg period, then you could potentially run out of it. So I ended up getting more. These are the quart size bottles, and then pH up, because once I mix these into water, what it'll do, it'll drop the pH down super low. It usually drops it down between like 4.5 or something like that. So I do usually have to put in about 0.5 milliliters of pH up into a gallon of water, and that'll bring it right up to 5.8 to 6.0, which I'm okay with because we are in cocoa. We're in cocoa mixed with some perlite in there as well. And I am still doing stash blend as well. So every other week I'm doing stash blend, half teaspoon per gallon of water. That'll go in after I put the nutrients into the bucket. I use that 5-gallon bucket. Try to keep it super simple, where basically just pour the water in there, mix the nutrients in there. I think for this flowering stage, we're looking at 9 to 14 milliliters per gallon for weeks 1 through 4, but weeks 5 through 8, 7 to 10 milliliters per gallon. So they kind of taper it down as we get towards the end of flowering there. So yeah, I put the nutrients in there, then stash blend after the fact and mix it up in there. Sometimes I'll take this little pitcher right here and I will scoop it out and kind of dump it on top. But for the most part, it is down on the bottom here. You just pour it down into this tray and it will wick up. And so it makes things super easy. There's a gauge right there, which kind of tells you the water level. The water level is low right now. So today, actually, once I'm done with filming, I will mix up some more nutrients and put them in there. Now, in regards to training, this is something where I did do a topping early in veg, allowed those lower branches to kind of catch up. You can see the shape it took there. And I was doing a little bit low stress training just with my hands, and I used the bud trainer clips in order to try to allow these branches to become even. So there's kind of an even canopy. I was doing some super cropping in the stretch phase. I was trying to make it so it didn't grow into that overgrown section. It didn't grow too high. However, it stretched for a little bit longer than I thought it would. It stretched for an additional like 4 days past what I thought it would. So it did get up an inch, inch and a half into that overgrown area, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm just running with it, just hoping for the best at this point. I definitely could have flipped a flower sooner and done a little bit better of training, and I wouldn't have run into that overgrown issue. But hey, lessons learned. Now, everybody wants to know, what's the yield that you can get out of this box? And I've heard so many different people saying that they got small yields, big yields. I anticipate, just by looking at the plant right now and seeing the growth, how it is so far, we've got several weeks left to go, right? We're on day 37 of flowering. This, I'm expecting to go about 9 weeks in flowering. So we've got a little ways for it to bulk up. It's actually looking really, really nice as far as the bulkiness so far. I'm liking the density that it's showing so far. I'm estimating over 2 ounces easy on this one, maybe 3 ounces. I would say between 2 or 3 ounces, probably just off this particular plant. And I've heard of people growing different genetics in here, and I now know that they have the DWC kit that can go in there. People are getting much larger yields, 4, 5+ ounces off of this one box. And this is a very small box. This isn't your 2 by 2 feet by 2 feet box. This is actually 18, just under 18 inches by just under 18 inches. So it's smaller than usual 2x2 grow space. 2 to 3 ounces I'd be happy with personally. I mean, I got other tents with other plants, so as far as yield, I'm not really looking to maximize yield. If I get 2 to 3, I'll be happy with that. But other people have been saying that they get 4, 5+ ounces off of it, which is freaking awesome for this size box. So I am going to run the DWC kit next time around. So you guys will stay tuned for that one. So you see how much of a difference in growth you'll see off of that. I think I'm going to have to definitely flip to flower a lot sooner to make sure that the plant doesn't outgrow the grow space. And yeah, I'd love to know in the comment section below, what do you usually get for yield if you're running this? Let me know. And I definitely want to give a thanks to Vivosun for sponsoring this video. They hooked me up with this VGrow box and the nutrients. Big shout out to them. They also hook up my viewers with a discount code. Use code MrGrow15. That code works on both Amazon as well as their website. That's pretty much it for this video, guys. Just wanted to do a quick update showing you where we are at. Thanks so much. Look forward to reading things in the comments, and we'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.